ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ वर्स् 60 दशमोऽस्मीति वाक्योत्था न धीरस्य विहन्यते आदिमध्यावसानेषु नवत्वस्य संशयः. So, Vidyaranya established that in case of this Brahma Jnanam, so there are two stages. Paroksha Jnanam, Aparoksha Jnanam. Paroksha Jnanam as such is possible only with respect to remote objects. So in the case of Brahman, well, which is intimate, both Jnanam are possible, Paroksham and Aparoksham. Paroksha Jnanam is in the form of a Brahma Asti. Aparoksha Jnanam is in the form of Brahma Asmi. That's a difference. And this is established, Paroksha Jnanam, Aparoksha Jnanam, in that 7 steps, etc. It has been established by the example of a 10th man. There, in the case of a 10th man, both the Jnanams are possible. Dashamaha Asti, Dashamaha Asmi, both Aparoksha Jnanam. So both are possible. So, and well, generally Vidyaranya adds one more point here. Normally we get a Paroksha Jnanam and Aparoksha Jnanam through different pramana. So Paroksha Jnanam, when you, like I give you an example, when you discuss regarding Badrinath or you read regarding Badrinath, so you get a Paroksha Jnanam of a Badrinath through Shabda Pramana, right? Because you are reading or somebody is telling you, either discussing. So Paroksha Jnanam is possible through a Shabda Pramana. And when you well definitely go to Badrinath, then you get a direct knowledge, a Paroksha Jnanam of Badrinath. That is through Pratyaksha. So generally Paroksha Jnanam is and Aparoksha Jnanam, both are possible by different pramana, different means of knowledge. And well, in our case, I mean Brahma Jnanam, or in case of 10th man, let us say, Paroksha Jnanam of a 10th man and Aparoksha Jnanam of a 10th man, both are through Shabda Pramana. Dashamaha Asti is Shabda Pramana, Paroksha Jnanam. Dashamaha Asmi, Aparoksha Jnanam, Shabda Pramana. Ultimately, Mahavakya, Tvam Dashamosi generates Aparoksha Jnanam, Dashamaha Asmi. And therefore, well, that is so, Paroksha Jnanam and Aparoksha Jnanam, well, with respect to very intimate object, is possible through one pramana. Paroksha Jnanam and Aparoksha Jnanam is possible through different pramana for an object which is remote from you. which is not intimate. So this is, so same way here, Vidyaranya wants to, tell us clearly that Paroksha Jnanam and Aparoksha Jnanam also comes from Shabda Pramana. And Vedanta Vakyam alone is a Pramana for both Paroksha Jnanam and Aparoksha Jnanam. Shabda is a cause for both Paroksha Jnanam and Aparoksha Jnanam. And so, how do you say so? In all our previous cases, Pramanam is different, as I told you in the case of a Badrinath, etc. And Vidyaranya says, if you go to 10th man, the teacher gives Paroksha Jnanam and Aparoksha Jnanam only through words. And so, here also in case of Brahman, which is intimate, which is in the form of Atma, both Jnanam is possible through Shabda Pramana only, through Vedanta Vakya. So Vedanta Vakya is a Pramana for Paroksha Jnanam, Aparoksha Jnanam. Then what kind of a Vakya generates Paroksha Jnanam and what kind of Vakya generates Aparoksha Jnanam? Avantar Vakya generates, Srushti Vakya generates Paroksha Jnanam. And so, that gives you a knowledge of a Brahman in form of a cause of the world, Jagat Karana. So that we have seen also Sattva Avarana Nivartaka Jnanam. So you gain an existence, you gain a knowledge which covers, which covers on, which has a covering on the existence of Brahman, let us say, that is removed by this Paroksha Jnanam Avantar Vakya only. And then, same existent Brahman, you specifically know it as Atma. So that is Aparoksha Jnanam generated by Mahavakya. So, and what are Avantar Vakya and Mahavakya, etc.? That has been discussed from the standpoint of different Upanishads from 61, verse 61 onwards. So let us read verse 61. Sadeva ityadi vakyena brahmasatvam parokshatah गृहीत्वा तत्त्वमस्यादि वाक्याद् व्यक्तिं समुल्लिखेत. Sadeva ityadi vakyena. 6-1 Chandogya. So first he is going to discuss what is Avantar Vakya, which will generate a knowledge, Paroksha Jnanam in you regarding Brahman as a Jagat Karanam Brahman. What is that Vakya? He is quoting Avantar Vakya, Srushti Vakya. So Sadeva ityadi vakyena, so it introduces Brahman as pure existence, Sat. And we saw, of course, this thing earlier also in the chapter 2. If you remember, this Sadeva Somedamagra Asit, that whole Vakya has been analyzed by Vidyaranya Swami in chapter 2. What is Sat and what is Eva and what is this Sadeva Somedamagra Asit? Idam means what? What is Agram, etc. All this has been discussed before. So anyway, so Sadeva ityadi vakyena, so this introduces Brahman as a pure existence, Sat, which is Jagat Karana. And when student listens that, he gains the knowledge that Brahman is Jagat Karana. And that Brahman which has a Maya Shakti, Sarvagnim, etc. And through what kind of a Vakya you gain this knowledge of the existence of Brahman? Through Avantar Vakya, Jagat Karana Brahman. So that is being told. Brahma Sattvam Parokshataha Gruhitva. Brahma Sattvam, existence of Brahman. Parokshataha. Parokshatam is indirectly. Indirectly means here, you know now that Brahman exists as a cause of the world. So it's a general existence. Or this is this kind of a knowledge. Brahma Sattvam Parokshataha means indirectly he knows the existence of Brahman. No, not like that. So you will know that the Brahman exists, which is a Jagat Karan. Through what kind of a Vakya? Sadeva Somedamagra Asit. This Sat alone, this Jagat was Sat alone before. So that's a material cause, definitely. All these parts were clay before. That we can understand that the clay is a cause of the material cause of this creation, of these parts. So, Brahmasattvam Parokshataha Grihitva. Grihitva means Jnatva. Grihitva means grasping this thing. Grasping the general existence of Brahman. Grasping the Brahman as existing as a cause of the world, etc. So grihitva, in many cases it means jnatva, knowing this, having known, etc. So even though Upanishad does not, Chandogya Upanishad does not use the word Brahman, it uses the word Sat. But then Upanishad talks about a creation and how it came through elements. And you know very well in Chandogya, it's not, it doesn't talk about the five elements, it talks about three elements. And then three elements, grossification, etc. So that is not called Panchikaranam, it's called Trivrit Karanam. So Trivrit Karanam means combining all the three elements. There, these two elements have been, have not been talked about, and that is space and Vayu. They start from fire, etc. Fire and water and earth. Anyway, so then, whole seven sections. First, Sadeva Sumedam Agra Asit 6 to 1. And then 6 to 2, 6 to 3, 6 to 4, 6 to 5, 6 to 7. All this talks about the creation. Then Trivrit Karanam and etc. etc. And then in 7th section, this Tattvamasi has been introduced. So, first, then it says here, Vidyaranya says, Tattvamasyadi Vakyat. So, after talking about the creation, from the Sat, from Brahman, as a Jagat Karanam it has been talked about, and then later the same Brahman has been introduced through Tattvamasi Vakya, as the self. Tattvamasi means that Sat, which is Jagat Karanam, is you. Sadeva Satyam, Sa Atma, Tattvamasi, etc. etc. Sadeva Satyam, that Sat alone is the reality. Existence alone is a reality. Anything you pick up, only existence is a reality. There is nothing other than that which is real. So name and form is not real. That's what they want to convey. Sadeva Satyam and Sa Atma, that happens to be the Atma. Okay, that Atma maybe then again, it's like a third person. No. Tattvamasi. So that Sat which is Jagat Karanam alone is Atma, and that is you. So therefore very specifically has been mentioned Jagat Karanam Sat or Brahman as the self, which is Aparoksha Jnanam. So Mahavakya will give Aparoksha Jnanam. So anyway, but so earlier whole section, starting from 6 to 1 to 6 to 2, 6 to 3, etc., all this throughout, teacher was preparing student, for ultimately to give knowledge of this Brahman as the self. And so Tattvamasi has been talked about. Anyway, and you know this also, Aitadatma Vidagam Sarvam 9 times. That also Tattvamasi is not once. 9 times it has been told. Therefore, because it doesn't click to this student, which is nothing other than, the son of Uddalaka, Shvetaketu. So, Aitadatma Vidagam Sarvam means that alone is a Atma. Idam Sarvam, Atma alone. That's what it means. Aitadatma Vidagam Sarvam means Eshaha Atma Idam. That Atma, is alone this, because that's a cause. Anyway, so 9 times it has been talked about. So Tattvamasi Iti Vakyat, this Tattvamasi Vakyat first comes in a 6-8-7. So I think 6 to 1, 6 to 1, then 6-3, 6-4, 6-5, 6-6, 6-7, all talks about this. And throughout, the student was prepared, and in 6-8-7, this Tattvamasi has been introduced. I gave you little wrong numbers before. So anyway, if students listen then he should listen to this Vakya as this cause of the creation is oneself. So Vyaktim Ullikhet. So Tattvamasyadi Vakyat Vyaktim Ullikhet. I told you, Vyaktim means a specific entity. Ullikhet means referred to, identified. So that Sat which is Jagat Karanam should be identified as identified with the self. I, ever evident consciousness alone is the cause of the creation. And this is Aparoksha Jnana. So Tattvamasi Mahavakya gives you Aparoksha Jnana. Again, Shabda Pramana. Earlier also Avantar Vakya, Srushti Vakya, Sadeva Sumedam Agra Asit also is a Shabda Pramana, right? Words only. But that gives you Sad as a Jagat Karanam. And then later it has been introduced as a Tattvamasi. So that Sat, which is Jagat Karanam, is this self-evident consciousness. And therefore this is a Mahavakya, generates aparoksha jnana. Same Shabda Pramana. So, but then suppose if Vedanta Vakya does not work to give aparoksha jnanam, then what? Well, paunah punyena shravanam kuryat. Well, therefore, we have seen also, if aparoksha jnanam is not generated, if you are not convinced that you are the cause of the creation, continue to listen. Believe me, people give up listening and they think that they will be able to do nididhyasanam, etc. It is not going to work. If you do nididhyasanam, and if it is a successful nididhyasanam, that nididhyasanam prepares you for shravanam. That nididhyasanam will not remove the habit of your mind to take the body as a self. Nididhyasanam will be able to remove this viparita bhavana, viparyaya, or the habitual notion that I am the body only when you are convinced that I am the Jagat Karanam, I am not this body. So, aparoksha jnanam, if it is not generated, this is a wonderful thing here. You won't find at every place. Aparoksha jnanam is generated only through shravanam. And people give up shravanam, they should not give up. So, you should be able to convinced. You should have a clarity of a Mahavakya. That's it. That's it. Therefore, Tattvamasi, that is you, should be clear to you. That Jagat Karanam Brahman, which has been depicted in Avantar Vakya, either in a Chandogya, Taittiriya, anywhere. That is me. You should get conviction. Till then, one has to listen. But if I don't get that clarity, pray for that. Well, pray for that, yeah. But this conviction should arise in you. Otherwise, if you just keep on doing that, I am not the body, you are preparing yourself for further shravana, that nididhyasana. And if conviction is there and then still habit is there, because of the old ignorance is very beginningless and therefore the habit will be there to take the body as a self, well then nididhyasana will work. Because you are already convinced. You have a paroksha jnanam through Mahavakya. Mahavakya shravanam alone is a shravanam. That's it. Vedanta Tatparya is a Mahavakya. And you expose yourself to Pramana, Shabda Pramana, or to Mahavakya in order to generate aparoksha jnanam in you. And that aparoksha jnanam is in this form. That Jagat Karanam Brahman is me. I, ever evident consciousness, alone is the cause of the creation. Whatever the existence is there in this creation, it belongs to me. The whole creation is non-separate from me. All this should be crystal clear in your mind. Then this viparita bhavana is just to habitually take the body as a self. Well, that goes away through nididhyasana. And suppose in this listening, well, you will have a certain intellectual doubt. How it is possible? How it is possible? Well, then this mananam is there. Generally, shravanam, mananam are not two different things. In any teacher will definitely raise a Purupaksha and answers. Raise a Purupaksha and answers, that is mananam. Makes the knowledge clear. So Shravanam, Mananam almost go together. And well, then Nididhyasanam will definitely remove even this habitual error also, taking habitually body as a self. So anyway, let's go to now verse number 62. Adimadhyavasaneshu swasya brahmatvadhiriyam naiva vyabhicharet tasmad aparoksham pradishtitam. Now here Vidyaranya says, well, once Mahavakya, does its job. So you understand that this consciousness, or this, let us say this Sat, is which is a Jagat Karanam, is none other than myself. Then once it is clear to you, I mean, you gain a aparoksha jnanam, Mahavakya does its job. Then again, if you read Avantar Vakya, like Sadeva Somidamagra Asit, etc. So while reading that, your jnanam will remain aparoksha jnanam. But Swamiji, now I am reading this Avantar Vakya, which is Srushti Vakya, then my aparoksha jnanam will become again paroksha jnanam. That will not happen. That will not happen. So nothing to worry about. And therefore, Adi Madhya Avasaneshu, exactly like in 10th case, that we discussed, last time. If you see verse number 60, it is there. Adi Madhyavasaneshu na Navatvasya Samshaya. So once you know that you are the 10th man, and then suppose you count still, Adi, you are in the beginning of the counting, still your knowledge that I am the 10th man will not go. In the middle of the counting, Madhyam, that you are 10th man, suppose if you know, it won't go. And at the end of the counting also, that knowledge will not go. So if you know that you are 10th man, then again, suppose you are counting now again, suppose, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. So Acharya says, Navatvasya samshayaha na bhavati. Navatvasya, I am the 9th, that kind of a doubt will not come. Same way here, Adi Madhyavasaneshu, verse 63 also talks about now regarding Brahman as a self. So Adi Madhyavasaneshu, during beginning of the Shastra Shravanam, you start again the Chandogya, Sadvidya. And then the very first section will be Sadeva Somme Damagra Asit. Or you have come down to this again, this Srushti Vakya. Oh, then your aparoksha jnanam, that Brahman Jagat Karanam is myself. Now will it become again paroksha jnanam or no? No, it won't become. Adi Madhyavasaneshu means, if you listen to the Shastra again, or in the middle of the listening or at the end of the listening, iyam brahmatva dihi naiva vyapicharet. Iyam brahmatva dihi. This knowledge regarding that your status as a Brahman, never naiva vyapicharet. It will not be displaced. And so they are in a very he is emphasizing this point. Tasmat, and therefore, aparoksham pratishthitam. Aparoksham, directness, right? Paroksha word is there. So if you make an abstract noun, it will be paroksham. Paroksham is indirect. Paroksham, indirectness. These are all abstract nouns. Same way he is using word aparoksham, because there is an aparoksha word is there. So, aparoksham means a direct. Aparoksham means directness. Directness which of this, of Brahman as the self, that is called directness. That will never be, it will not be displaced. Either you listen again, Shastra, or you give up, you stop listening to Chandogya and you listen now to Taittiriya. And again there, Tasmad va etasmad atmana akasha sambhutaha akashad vayuhu vayor agnihi agnerapah. Oh, that's so your aparoksha jnanam, which has been generated through Mahavakya, that you are Brahman, which is Jagat Karanam, will not be displaced by this paroksha jnana. That won't happen. That's what he says. So, aparoksham pratishtitam. So, basically, your knowledge is well established. And that is the reason, after understanding Vedanta clearly, so person does a Shravanam again, and teacher will use. Suppose he knows that he is Brahman, which is Jagat Karan, and he goes to somebody's class and sits, and teacher may be telling, Atma is like this and Brahman is Jagat Karanam and all that. All third person, suppose. He replaces all third person as a first person. That's what he will do. So he will replace immediately. So that is indicated here. In a Shravanam, you should quietly do this all the time. That, Puja Swamiji only told us once upon a time that, some student used to keep a chit on the table that this Swami is talking about me. This Swami is talking about me. And that works. I tell you, this is a wonder. It works. It works. If you keep this Brahman or Atma, all words, all the words which has been employed in the Upanishad, if you keep it as a third person, it will remain. Atma is a third person, by the way. How do you say, Swamiji, Atma means me? No. Upanishad, Veda declares like this. Sadeva Somidam Agra Asit, in that itself I have told you, right? So Tattvamasi, Sa Atma, that Tattvamasi, that means that means which is Sat, which is Jagat Karanam, is well basically Tvam. But still it is, Uddalaka felt that is, I think, not clear to this person. Sa Atma, that Jagat Karanam Brahman is Atma. Tattvamasi comes later, I am sorry. Sadeva Satyam and Sa Atma, yeah. That Sat which is Jagat Karanam alone is a reality, means what you see as a names and forms are all Mithya. Okay, that is Sadeva Satyam. And then Sa Atma, that Sat which is Satyam is Atma. Then he felt that he will still take it as a third person. So he says Tattvamasi. Yeah. After saying Atma, why should you say Tvam? Atma is Aham, right? But this is what happens. But this person who knows I am Jagat Karan Brahman, well, even though he goes to some class and listens to some teacher, and the teacher is using Atma and Brahman and all, he will not take now that Atma and Brahman as a third person. He says, there is me. Very clear. This is called a culmination of listening. This is Aparoksha Jnana. This is. Till then, one has to honestly listen. Nothing. That's how Paunah Punyena Shravanam Kurya. Shravanam should not be given up in any case until this kind of a conviction arises in a person. Anyway, so, okay, so Shravanam helps even in Nishtha also. That's what, because Aparoksham Pratishtitam. Basically, it is well established, is well established in this knowledge. And therefore, this kind of a Shravanam of a Mahavakya, which will generate Aparoksha Jnanam, helps you in Nishtha also. Viparya is there, and therefore, well, Nidhyasanam may be required. That's how many acharyas don't bother about this Nidhyasanam. Really. Even Sureshwaracharya in Nishkarma Siddhi, I think I have told you that he says the Shravanam is enough. But Shravanam means that Shravanam should generate Aparoksha Jnanam. That is called Shravanam. And that is Mahavakya Shravanam only. And therefore, Shravanam is a main, that's the main thing to even give you ultimately Nishtha. Anyway, verse 63. Janmadi karanatvakhya lakshanena bhruguh pura parokshena gruhitvatha vicharadvyaktimaikshat. So, previous two verses were example of Avantar Vakya and Mahavakya of a Chandogya, right? Sadeva Sumedam Agrasit, Avantar Vakya, Tattvamasi, etc. Mahavakya, both belong to Chandogya. Now here in verse 63, he takes a Bhruguvalli of a Taittiriya Upanishad. There also Avantar Vakya, Mahavakya, etc. So what is Avantar Vakya? So he gives a hint here. Bhruguhu Janmadi Karanatvakhya Lakshanena. So the statement which defines Brahman, that is a Lakshanam. Taittiriya Upanishad 3.1, well, that's a Lakshanam. Janmadi Karanatvakhya. So the Karanatvakhya Lakshanena. Lakshanena is by definition in the form of Janmadi Karanatvam. And that is Janmadi Karanatvam means Yatova imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisamvishanti, etc. That, the Srishti Sthiti, the Karanam for the Srishti Sthiti, Laya is Brahman. That is how it has been defined by the Varuna. So, to the Bhrugu. Anyway, so teacher is a Varuna and Bhrugu is a son. And then Bhrugu goes to Varuna. That's how Bhruguvalli starts, right? Bhrugu goes to Varuna. Student goes, the son goes to father. There also in Chandogya, same thing. Uddalaka Shvetaketu. Uddalaka was the father, Shvetaketu was the son. Anyway, so Bhrugu goes to Varuna and asked Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti, etc. Well, Tasmad etat provacha. And so Adihi Bhagavo Brahma, may you teach me Brahman, etc. May you impart Brahma Vidya. Bhrigu asked to Varuna, the father, and then Varuna started Tasmadva Etat Provacha. So Provacha, he started saying Yatova Imani Bhutani Jayanti, etc. etc. Yena Jatani Jivanti Yat Pranti Abhisambhishanti Tad Brahman. That's how he defined. So Brahman is a Srishti Sthiti, Laya Karanam, cause of this creation, sustenance and dissolution. So anyway, and then this Avantar Vakya Bhrigu heard. So from Avantar Vakya, Vidyaranya says Parokshena Gruhitva. He listened to this Srishti Vakya and Parokshena means Parokshataya, Gruhitva. He indirectly gained knowledge. He gained a knowledge in terms of an existence of Brahman as a cause of the world. And thereafter he is been told by what? Atha. Vidyaranya says Atha. Janmadi karanatvakhya lakshanena Bhrigu parokshena gruhitva pura, before he gained this kind of a knowledge, a general existence of Brahman as a Jagat Karanam, etc. Atha, and means thereafter, vicharad vyaktim tadaikshata. Vicharad means he continued his inquiry regarding the Brahman, and why he should continue? Because he just gained a knowledge which is paroksham, indirect knowledge only, in terms of an existence of Brahman as he has accepted. Yes, Brahman exists as a Jagat Karanam. But that's not enough. Therefore, he continued to inquire further, because he wanted this to convert Paroksha Jnanam into Aparoksha Jnanam. And so, and for that continued inquiry, the Shastra uses a very, very particular word, tapaha. So if you go to Bhrigu, well, you will find the word tapaha for this inquiry, further inquiry. Tapasa Brahma Vijijñāsasva. In fact, Uddalaka told him, well, that Brahman which I have introduced, which I have defined as a Jagat Karanam, well, you inquire into Panchakosha. That's what he is going to say also. So Tapasa Brahma Vijijñāsasva, may you know this Brahman through inquiry. Satapo tapyata, well, Bhrigu, Saha means Bhrigu, Tapaha tapyata, well, Bhrigu definitely did an inquiry. Satapas taptva, and after that, well, he returned. After doing inquiry, he returned. And he said, Annam Brahmeti Vyajanat. Well, I have identified Brahman, Vyaktim Ullikhet, Vyaktim specifically. That Brahman which is Jagat Karanam is this Annam, etc. etc. Because Annadeva Khalvimani Bhutani Jayante, Annena Jatani Jivanti, Annam Prayanti Abhisambhishanti, Annam Brahma. You said Yatova Imani Bhutani Jayante. Well, and all these bhutas are born of womb. And then, well, and they all are sustained by womb. And unto whom they all, get resolved. Well, that is Annam. So the definition of Brahman fits into Annam. Therefore, Annam Brahmeti Vyajanat. He came back after inquiry this. And so, that's what, then of course further inquiry was done. But this is how it has been told here. So here Vyakti Ullekha, Vyakti Ikshanam, etc. Because here they have used the word Vyaktim Aikshata. So we have to consider as a, in the process of gaining Aparoksha Jnanam of Brahman. Aikshata means he saw Brahman. Well, he saw, or he identifies Brahman, etc. All this is indicating Vyakti Ullekha, Vyakti Ikshanam, all indicate Aparoksha Jnanam of Brahman. Vyakti means a specific thing, and or identifying a thing. And Ullekha means referred to. And here Ikshanam, if you take the word, well, then also considering, seeing Brahman as Annam, etc. Anyway, so verse 64 now. Yadyapi tvamasityatra vakyam noche bhrigoh pita tathapyannam pranamiti vicharya sthala muktavan. So then, well, this Sadeva Som, like in a Chandogya Sadeva Sodhamika, Idamagra Asit, etc., that's Avantar Vakya. So, well, here also there is Avantar Vakya, Yatova Imani Bhutani Jayante, etc., because it's a Srushti Vakya. Savantar Vakya by which you will come to know Brahman or Sat. Here Brahman, in Chandogya Sat, as a Jagat Karanam. So, but in Chandogya, very clear Mahavakya is there, Tattvamasi. Whereas in Taittiriya Upanishad, Bhruguvalli, well, Jagat Karanam Brahmasti, that Savantar Vakya is there. But Mahavakya is not there. Then how can you say, well, the Bhrugu gained a Aparoksha Jnanam? Because Mahavakya is not there in Bhruguvalli. That's what he is referring to. So this is a difference between the two. In Chandogya and in Bhruguvalli. Both places the teacher is a father and student is a son. There Uddalaka and Shvetaketu. Here Varuna and Bhrugu. And both places Avantar Vakya, Srushti Vakya also is there. There Sadeva Somidam Agrasit. Here Yatova Imani Bhutani Jayanti, etc. etc. Brahman is Jagat Karanam, or Sat is Jagat Karanam. So Paroksha Jnanam is generated. But there immediately after that, right, in the 8th section, well, Tattvamasi has been introduced. That Sat is you. Means, so Mahavakya is there and he gained the Paroksha Jnanam. Shvetaketu gained. But here there is no Mahavakya. So then, well, how are you going to compare here? And you are claiming that in Bhruguvalli also there is a Avantar Vakya and Mahavakya. And therefore, well, here also Bhrugu gained a Aparoksha Jnanam of a Brahman. Well, we have to see that. Even though Mahavakya is not, explicitly there, but it is implicitly, it is there, very much there. So we'll see that. So here, and so Varuna very clearly says that you should do this inquiry of a Brahman, well, amidst this Panchakosha. Very beautifully he said that Annam Pranam Chakshus Shrotram Vachamiti. If you see the section later, you will find that. So Annam Pranam Chakshus Shrotra Vachamiti, that Brahman, Jagat Karanam Brahman, you should inquire into this Panchakosha. Panchakosha belongs to Tvampada only. Therefore, he has already talked about it. And so he said, you do an inquiry of Brahman in this Panchakosha. Panchakosha, Vilakshana, Sakshi, etc. Ultimately he is going to gain that knowledge. Anyway, so this is how it has been told. Not very explicitly told, well, that Brahma, Jagat Karanam is you. That kind of a Mahavakya won't find. But he said very clearly, you want to know the Brahman and that Brahman is a Jagat Karanam, and that Jagat Karanam Brahma, you inquire into this Panchakosha. So he says this statement, Annam Pranam Chakshus Shrotram Vachamiti. That's what Vidyaranya refers. Well, he says, Tathapi Annam Pranam iti Vicharya, etc. So basically, Atra means in this Bhruguvalli. So, Tvamasi iti Vakyam, like a direct Mahavakya in the form of a Tattvamasi as is given in the Chandogya, well, it is not here. So, Bhrugoho Pitaha na uche. Bhrugoho Pita. Well, this the father of the Bhrugu, Varuna, did not uche. Uche, uchate, uchire. That is a past tense. So, he did not say this very clearly. What? Tvamasi, that Brahman is you. That has not been told very clearly in Bhruguvalli, which is there in the Chandogya, Tattvamasi. That Jagat Karanam Sat is you, very clearly told, but that is not here. Anyway, so iti, Tathapi Annam Pranam iti. Even though not clearly said like this, but still Annam Pranam, you inquire that Brahman, Jagat Karanam Brahman into this Panchakosha. In this manner, Vicharya Sthalam, locus of inquiry. Vicharya means a locus of the inquiry, and Sthalam means here Sthalam means a locus, and Vicharya means inquiry. So Vicharya Sthalam is this in this manner. Well, Varuna Uktavan, Varuna told very clearly that Brahman Jagat Karanam, you inquire into this Panchakosha. And means, well, definitely then he went to Annamaya Kosha. Definitely, first. That's how Annam Brahmeti Vyajanat. That's how he said. Pranam Brahmeti, Prano Brahmeti Vyajanat, Mano Brahmeti Vyajanat, etc. etc. Vijnanam Brahmeti Vyajanat. And then Anandam Brahmeti Vyajanat. That Ananda is Brahman. But then also there is a difference. Yeah, very clear. Because in the second chapter of this Taittiriya, there also Panchakosha Vilakshana Sakshi has been shown, right? But there Anandamaya Kosha has been very clearly narrated. And then it has been told as Ananda or the Brahman as a Pratishtha of this Anandamaya also. So that kind of a Anandamaya Kosha is not introduced here. After Annam Brahmeti Vyajanat, Mano Brahmeti Vyajanat, or Prano Brahmeti Vyajanat, Mano Brahmeti Vyajanat, Vijnanam Brahmeti Vyajanat, immediately Anandam Brahmeti Vyajanat, not Anandamaya. And therefore, but Swamiji, how Ananda is a Brahman? that I am going to tell, don't worry. But as such we know very well. Anandam and Brahman. Ananda, meaning for a Vedanti, word Ananda should be always replaced by Purnatvam. I am going to tell you, in any experience, either a Samadhi experience or a deep sleep experience or a experience of a happiness in a waking state, there is no Dvaitam. So a word Advaitam, Purnatvam, Ananda are all synonymous. I will prove it, don't worry. But what I am saying is, so Anandam means why Brahma? But Anandam means Brahma. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That Anantam is Ananda. There is no experiential Ananda. No experiential Ananda. When Ananda is different from you, if you consider that Ananda is, the source of Ananda is different from you, it is not Ananda, it is Sukha Bhasa. It's not Ananda. The source of Ananda is one alone. The source of existence is one alone. The source of consciousness is one alone. And that is you. You are Ananda. And that is why when other than you resolves, then you enjoy yourself. And you enjoy yourself as not a limited entity. You enjoy yourself as a fullness. That is what deep sleep state is. Where is Vishaya there? If you think that there is another source of Ananda, automatically Dvaita is arisen. Because you think that is source of Ananda for me. Already Dvaita is there. You have a desire not for yourself. Anyone has a desire for, even one looks upon an object of a desire as some source of happiness and he works to gain it. Proves that Dvaitam is there. Very much there. So Advaita and Ananda and all are one thing alone. One thing. And if this becomes clear, the Vairagya is very, very evident. Vairagya is very, very natural for this person. Very natural. He has not to work too much. Anyway, that's a different thing and we'll talk about it a little later. So, definitely. So, Anandamaya Kosha is not there. Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat Anandadyeva Kalvimani Bhutani Jayante Anandena Jatani Jivanti Anandam Prayanti Abhisambhishanti. That is how it is actually. That's how the creation is. That's how the creation is. Father, mother, they unite for Ananda. That's how the creation is, child, etc. And one is sustained. One sustained by Ananda. If you and me feel that there is no source of Ananda in my life further, I don't want to sustain myself. And everything resolves into Ananda. So, but how? Because you are born of Ananda, therefore you resolve in Ananda. That is how it is. One who comes out of it, the source, the thing will resolve into that. If pot comes out of definitely a clay, pot resolves in clay. You need not have to prove it. That's it. The source of, from a thing, a given thing emerges. That would be the place where it will resolve also. So, Anandadyeva Khalvimani Bhutani Jayante Anandena Jatani Jivanti Anandam Prayanti Abhisambhishanti. Everything resolves into Ananda. But anyway, I will talk about it. I have to say a few things more in that. Advaita and Ananda and all these things. I will try to show that these are the one thing alone. Okay, let's go to verse 65. अन्नप्राणादिकोशेषु सुविचार्य पुनः पुनः आनन्दव्यक्तिमीक्षित्वा ब्रह्मलक्ष्मा लक्ष्माप्ययुयुजत. So now keeping this definition of a Brahman, he applied this in Annamaya, Pranamaya, etc. What is that definition? Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti, etc. That definition applies to this Annamaya, Pranamaya, etc. Who? Bhrigu. And then, and then ultimately what fulfills the definition of Brahman? Well, then he first, in the first stage of inquiry, he came to know this Annam is Brahma. Then he came to know Pranaha as a Brahman, Manaha as a Brahman, and then finally, Vijnanam as a Brahman, and then Ananda as a Brahman. So, Anna Pranadi Kosheshu Suvicharya. Suvicharya is indeclinable. It's a lebanta. So, Anna Pranadi Kosheshu. Anna Pranam, Manomaya, etc. in Kosheshu Suvicharya. Analyzing thoroughly all these koshas. Punah Punaha. Again and again. Because every time Varuna was sending him back. Tapasa Brahma Vijignyasasva. Then, O Pitaji, Mano Brahmeti Vyajana. Tapasa Brahma Vijignyasasva. So then he was sent back. Anyway, anyway, Puna, again and again. So, he cross-checked with the father all the time, Annam Brahmeti Vyajana, etc. That's what he told to Varuna. Bhrigu told like that. And then he was sent back, etc., etc. And ultimately, because he wanted to cross-check in terms of am I in a right direction or not. Like Virochana just went off. Virochana and then Indra both went to Prajapati. That's in a Chandogya, Prajapati Vidya, 8th chapter. 8th chapter, the last 6 sections. The first 6 section is a Dahara Vidya. That's a Upasana. So, Brahman has been meditated upon as in a Dahara Akasha and manifested in the heart. Ultimately, Antakaranam is a sthanam. Heart is a sthanam for Antakaranam, and there it has manifested, right? And therefore, so first Dahara Vidya and then Prajapati Vidya. So, Prajapati, after listening to Prajapati's proclamation that one who knows Brahman will gain all the kamas. Sarvan kaman samashnuta, like our Taittiriya. So both went, and then this Prajapati said, well, what is available in the right eye, that is Brahman. So then both looked into each other's eyes. And therefore, and the Indra found his, the image of his body in Virochana's eye. And Virochana found the image of Indra's body in his eye. So in each other's body. Means one's own body you find as an image in other's eye. That's it. And Virochana thought, that is Brahman. Means this body is Brahman. Well, that's what it is. So they have to nourish the body, etc. And he went. So he did not cross-check with Prajapati whether what I came to this conclusion is right or wrong. But then Indra, basically he did penance for 32 years. But he actually first Prajapati told. He went to Prajapati and he said, well, my image was there in Virochana's eye, and it was the image of a body. You said that is Brahman. So body is Brahman. Well, am I right? Then Prajapati thought, he take gross body as a Atma. His mind is still very gross. Okay, send him. He was sent for 32 years. Like that, another 32 years, another 32 years. After 101 years of Prajapati in Brahmaloka, not our 101 years also is too much. But this is different time scale. Anyway, what I am saying is, same way Bhrigu, that shows a sattva. That shows a sattva that you cross-check with the teacher, that what your understanding is right or wrong. If you don't cross-check, that shows ahankara. Very much. Anyway, so punaha, again and again he cross-checked. Ananda Vyaktim Ikshitva. Ananda Vyaktim, where he identifies Brahman as a Ananda Atma Ikshitva. As I told you, means Ikshitva means here Aparoksha Jnanam. He identifies Brahman as a Ananda Atma. He knew Brahman as a Ananda Atma. And so, Ikshitva he recognized. Okay, so this is how it has been told now. And only thing is which I want to convey is this. See, I take a verse from Pancadasi only to explain you this. What? Anandam Brahma or Advaitam Brahma or Advaitam Anandam, all are synonymous only. He tells in 11th chapter, we'll study after some time. So in 11th chapter, well, it comes, it says, त्रय अभावे तु निर्द्वैतः पूर्ण एव अनुभूयते समाधि सुप्ति मूर्छासु पूर्ण सृष्टे पुरा यथा. So what happens is, this 11th chapter, 12, 13, 14, all this is a description of Ananda. Ananda means Atma alone is Ananda, Brahman alone is Ananda. That's the section here. In 11th chapter, of course, they talk whatever in Samadhi, what one experiences is this Brahman alone. In Samadhi there is Ananda, means that's Ananda belongs to Brahman alone, etc. etc. So there it is said, here, in that 11th chapter it is said, Traya abhave tu nirdvaitah purnaha eva anubhuyate. This Traya means a Triputi, triad. This Triputi we should understand very well. So when we say, like Jnata, Gneyam and Jnanam, Karta, Karma, Karanam, Pramata, Pramanam and Prameyam, anything. That is Dvaita, we say like that. But Dvaita means two, right? So while description Dvaita, you talk about three things. You should talk about only two. Why you talk about a triad in a Dvaitam, in a duality, in a triality, etc., you can talk about three. In a duality, you should talk about two. But whenever Shastra talks about a duality, they give this Triputi, triad, Pramata, Pramanam, Prameyam, etc. Because there are two things only. Right? What two? Pramata and Prameyam. Druk and Drishyam. And they both are connected. That relationship is a third thing. Like I tell you, see, Drashta, let us say, Drashta, Drishyam, right? Two things, Drashta and Drishyam. Drashta and Drishyam are connected. That's called Darshanam. So Darshanam is not a third entity. There is a duality only. Drashta and Drishyam. Pramata and Prameyam. Only two. Jnata, Gneyam are connected by a relationship called Jnanam. So this is how, even though we talk Triputi, but in that there are really two things only. Jnata, Gneyam, Karta, Karma, Pramata, Prameyam, etc. etc. Anyway, and so this is a triad. This triad alone is this Dvaitam. And why it is called Triputi, etc. See, Putaha means a form. So in this there are Triputi means what? One which has a three forms, naturally. Three forms. It is in the form of a Jnata, knower. It is in the form of a knowledge, and it is in the form of a known. So this Dvaitam has a Triputi. Dvaitam has Triputi. Putaha is equal to Akara, form. Triputi, three forms. A Dvaitam is in the form is in the three forms, and that is knower, known, knowledge, etc. The doer, etc. And then object of doing, etc. And this the very action, etc. So this is how we divide. Now, whenever there is this Triputi, well, that is Dvaitam, there will be a sense of limitation. Wherever and whenever. Whenever this triad is there, a sense of limitations will be there, or limitation will be there. What limitation? Three types of limitation. Three types. First is limitation in terms of place. Second is limitation in terms of time. limitation in terms of object. These three types of limitations will be there when there is a duality or triputi, either. Clear? Three. Take first thing, knower. Let us take knower. When you say I am a knower, automatically three types of limitations have come. I am a knower at this place. I may not be a knower in the next place. I am a knower now. I may not be knower later. I may be a doer. Right? So I am a knower now. I am knower at this place, etc. I am knower. That's object-wise limitation. I am not known. I am not knowledge. I am just knower. I am not doer. And at this moment. So that's called object-wise limitation. And well, when you take yourself as a knower, three types of limitation comes. Same three types of limitation will be there for object of knowledge also, name also. And same three types of limitations will be there for the word knowledge also. Because both are limited, both are connected. That relationship is knowledge. And therefore that is also limited because both are limited in terms of time, place and object. Both means what? Knower and known. If both are limited, the very knowledge which connects them also is limited. And when all the three are limited, well, definitely a sense of limitation will be there. And that in that case, whatever ananda is generated, it is really not an ananda. When I take myself as a different from an object, I take myself as a subject knower, an object of knowledge is different from me, or an object is different from me, unto which I look upon this object as different from me, and trying to derive an happiness from me. Well, the sense of limitation does not go away, because you take yourself as a limited entity in terms of three limitations. And therefore, that ananda which is generated, keeping this duality or a triad as such, bhokta, bhogya and bhoga, etc. Let us take that. So, that ananda which is generated by keeping the duality is actually a abhasa only. It is not a ananda. And when this triad goes away, the limitation goes away. This triad. If suppose a knower is not there, well, the limitation in terms of place, time, object, nothing will be there. So, if you take let us take this Sushupti. In Sushupti, the knower resolves, the Jagat, object of knowledge resolves, the very knowledge resolves, including Pramana also, all resolves. So when Triputi resolves, the sense of limitation, even time, place also resolves. Triputi arises, time, place automatically comes and limits them. When Triputi resolves, time, place and everything resolves. And so it's no sense of limitation. And then you will find no duality also. And then there is joy also. So not just one deep sleep state. I am talking about even a samadhi also. We may not want that kind of experience, but I am talking about that. In samadhi also, the dhyata, the meditator, resolves into the object of meditation. And the process which connects them, dhyata and dhyam, also is resolved. So this Triputi resolves even in a nirvikalpaka samadhi. That's how it is called nirvikalpaka. Means the vikalpas in terms of a dhyata, dhyanam and dhyam. All the three resolve. And you must have seen that experience of a samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi also. It's not something which we have not experienced. We have experienced. I think I talked about it in the first chapter end, while giving a comparison between Nididhyasanam and Nirvikalpa Samadhi. I talked about it, but I am again telling you, when you are totally absorbed in anything, when then you even don't know, like in reading a novel or something. Initially you are aware that you are reading a novel, etc., and and the process of reading everything you are aware of, but later you are absorbed so much that you and the object, you the reader and the object of reading that book, the subject matter, they become one, and the very process of reading also is forgotten. And even I tell you, even the time is resolved. Somebody has to come and tell the person, even the place is resolved. He doesn't know. Sometimes he sits in such a position, somebody has to tell you, please change your position because you may invite problem in your back. So time, place, everything resolved. Triputi and time, place goes together, because Triputi comes, time, place should be there to limit them. So all this resolved. So we have an experience, and we call it as an absorption. Samadhi means an absorption, in which the very meditator is absorbed in the object of meditation. And when it is absorbed, the Triputi resolves time, place. This person is not aware of even time also, and is not aware of even place also. So Nirvikalpa Samadhi is another example where one has an experience of a joy, one has an experience of a Nirvikalpika, means a Advaita, no Vikalpa. I mean Murcha also, but I keep it away, because Murcha, when you person comes out of a Murcha, even though the Murcha is an experience of a Advaita, but after Murcha there is a lot of dukkham. So I am keeping it away. But at least this Sushupti and Samadhi, or even a moment of happiness, well, when the person is in ecstasy, that time also the very object of the person resolves. I mean, the person who is that enjoyer resolves into object of meditation, object of enjoyment. And so Puja Swamiji used to call it a experience of happiness is an experience of a non-duality. That's how it is. So non-duality experience is an experience of happiness. Advaita is Ananda, and Advaita means no limitation, no Dvaitam, no duality, no limitation in terms of time, place or object, means Purnam also, limitless also. So all three are same thing. Anandam means Brahman, Anandam means Advaitam, Anandam means Purnam. This is how it is. And therefore, last thing, and such a Ananda, right? Such a Ananda we do experience in deep sleep state, or in a moment of joy, or in a Nirvikalpa Samadhi, etc. Well, then when Shastra talks about such a Ananda to you, so that you gain the knowledge of this Ananda or Purnam, Brahma, well, that knowledge is possible, because you are already experiencing it. That's how it is. Therefore, the source of Ananda is Atma alone. There is no other source. In a Dvaita, even though you say that this particular object is giving me Ananda, that's not really Ananda. That is a Sukhabhasa. Not. Sukham is generated by knowledge. Sukhabhasa is generated by experiencing Vishayas. So Vishaya Anubhava. Anubhava Ananda is a Sukhabhasa. And Swarupa Ananda is a real Ananda. That's how it is. Because the source of joy, source of fullness, Puja Swamiji calls it as a expression of a fullness. Happiness is nothing but a manifest fullness. You don't lack anything at that moment. Either it is experientially, either you know that you really don't lack anything, you are Purnam. One who knows his Ananda will not go away. One who gains in experience such a fullness will go away. Will definitely go away. It's a state of a mind. Even though manifest fullness has manifested, but it will go away. It is born in time, gone in time. It's experiential. So this is Swarupananda and Anubhavananda are two different things. One is a Sukhabhasa and one is a Sukham. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ